Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. In today's video, this is episode 2 of Come and Garden with Me. So I had some different tasks this week that I didn't do last week, so come on and garden with me. I'd like to share with you this green mount nozzle hose that I really like. It's made out of aluminum, so it really has a good weight to it. And then also I'm pulling out my hose reel from my retractable giraffe hose reel that I really like as well. And all those links are in my under my description. But here I'm just kind of filling and making sure that this water coming out of the hose is not really hot, because it's been really hot here in Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8, and you don't want to be watering your plants with really hot water. And then my husband is mowing the grass as I'm going to just do my regular duties that I have around the house and around the garden. This is my very awesome hardy hibiscus. This is a hardy hibiscus, and it's a perennial and it comes back every year, but these blooms only last at least once a day, so they will fall. So I don't like to, my husband keeps saying that the blooms are pooping on his grass, but anyway, so I try to pick them up at least every single day. And then these petunias are kind of growing over my concrete siding right here, so I'm just giving them a trim as well. It's really good for these petunias to be trimmed as well here in July. It will keep them reblooming as well, but just a gorgeous combination. And then here I'm just trying to keep this juniper pruned up. It's gotten a little scraggly over time. I pruned it up the beginning of the year, I think in May, and then it has got some regrowth on it as well. So I'm just trying to make it nice and tidy. I'm using my Felco pruners. You can use a hedge pruner if you'd like as well. But this is like a spiral shape. And these are my containers that I put out early in the year. I do have some Gomphrena that have kind of died back, and some of the Queen Tut limbs have also died. So I just try to keep all that dead foliage off these. And then actually these petunias need a really good haircut too. So these yellow super bells are looking kind of scraggly right here, so I'm just pruning them back. And I need to give it some good water-soluble food as well, and they'll just bounce back in a couple of weeks. This is the skinny side garden. This is where I have most of my shade garden. And then I've got some hellebores that are looking kind of sad and have some black spot on it. So they're just trying to die back. It's really hot and they're a really early bloomer, so just trying to cut some of that dead back to make it look nice and tidy. And this is my Jacob's ladder that I'm pruning back also. And then the super bells, I have a couple of spent blooms. You can see the bees flying around there. But just cutting the old blooms off these super bells. And then my coneflowers, I have some dead blooms that I'm just trying to cut back from that. A lot of people will leave these blooms on for the birds, but I feed my birds really, really well. I've not actually even seen a bird on these coneflowers, so I just like to keep it nice and tidy and clean. So I try to go ahead and take some of those old spent blooms off. And then look how beautiful our backyard looks as well. This is my pop-up bag that is very handy. It just collapses and is easy for storage. And then this was a columbine, and I have absolutely no idea what happened to this. This was like alive last week, and then I just noticed it completely dead. So I went to go prune it back, and actually it just pulled straight out of the ground. And I did notice a little tiny black bug that was in that, so I really have no idea. It looks like something was eating at the roots of that. Do you guys have any idea? You can comment and share if you like, but I am clueless to why that died back. And this is my foxglove, and then I actually really like for these to go to seed, because when they do go to seed, then they'll drop, and they're like a biennial, I believe, which will, I think, will come up the first year but may not bloom, and then you may have blooms. But I actually planted foxglove this year and they bloomed, so not really sure on, I'm pretty new to foxglove, so if you guys have any idea and additional comments, you can let me know, because I don't know everything. I'm still learning how to garden as well. So we want to make sure that we don't leave any of these cuttings onto our grass. If you leave cuttings on the grass, then it's not going to get sun, and then your sod can die back as well. So this coneflower right here looks kind of bad, so I'm just pruning it all the way back to the ground. It probably needs some additional watering as well. And then I have a few little gates just as for extra little garden accents that I have. So I just pulled that up and gave this coneflower a really good pruning right here. If I have any extra weeds, I'll make sure that I'll pull those weeds up too. Just try to keep up on it each week so it doesn't get away from me, and then I'm like pulling weeds constantly. So this came from Gardener Supply. You can buy these online. This is the same as my trellis that I had, my 3-way trellis that I had my Happy Jack clematis growing on. And then I'm just pruning some back of this catmint too. I'd already pruned it back, and look how gorgeous it is already fleshed back out as well. But I don't want this to continue to grow over top the sod, because then the sod will die back. And this is one of my containers that I planted up early spring. You can see my lemon coral sedum, and then I'm pruning back my lobelia. I guess that's how you say it. But during this heat, this lobelia really does not like the heat, so it's pretty much died back, but I'm just trying not to pull the whole roots out to see if it'll flesh back out in the fall. So we'll see. You never know what it might do. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 of these plants in there, and I'm just going all the way around and pruning them back. Now this lemon coral sedum is actually an annual, but for here in Zone 8, Charlotte, North Carolina, it will come back for me. So I can leave that in the pot, or I can replant it in the fall somewhere else. But it does really, really good in containers. And then if it falls, the clippings will fall into the ground too. It will just like grow right on top your mulch. This is one of my David Austin roses. This is Thomas Graham. It is a peachy, yellowishy type of rose. This one has really long canes, so whenever it blooms, then I just have to really cut it back and try to keep it all in a nice, compact, medium-sized shrub. And then all these little clippings from that Laguna Sky lobelia had fell onto the paver, so I'm just trying to get all that off. My husband usually comes through and gets it all with a blower anyways, but just trying to clean it up a little bit so he doesn't have to do as much. This is not an aqua pot. This is just a normal, real pretty blue pot, but it is on drip, so I don't have to water it all the time. But like I said, it is really hot. It's been in the 90s, so I'm actually having to give, even though my containers are on drip, I'm having to give it extra watering as well. So you can see that my Sasha girl has got some pea spots here. So what I like to do, and works well for me, is that I'll get some kind of compost. I have black cow right here, and I'll just throw those on her pea spots. Actually, irrigation every single day helps prevent this from happening as much. But anyway, so I'm just throwing the compost on there and watering it in really well. And when you have compost, then the grass will really grow into that. And then here I'm just changing out this bad hummingbird food. right here. So I just wanted to show you my hummingbird feeder. I do have those in my links, and a lot of people like that. I have a hummingbird swing here, and yes, my hummingbirds do sit on that swing as well. But this food, which is just a sugar watery substance, you can see all the real nasty ants that are in this water. So I try to change it out at least every 2 to 3 days, but definitely at least once a week. Yeah, it's gross, right? So I do make my own hummingbird food. So you just take 1 cup of sugar to 4 cups of water and boil that down. And then I put it in this mason jar, and then I have it for several weeks. It's never really gone bad for me. But you can see these hummingbird feeders. This one is a mosaic from Mosaic Bird, and then I saw it on Amazon from a different resource as well. And then I just put that lid right back on, and then put it back into my cabinet, and then change it out. This is my living wreath that I had from the hens and chicks. So you can see that video there. And then I'm still having a hard time, like, really know how to water this. So no, you're not supposed to water it much, but I'm sure you're supposed to water it at least more than once a week when it's 80 to 90 degrees. But this is where I had my wreath right here, and you can see some of the dirt that fell off of it, and I just make sure that I give that a good clean. This is a June beetle. I used to say June beetle and Japanese beetles until I saw someone else comment that they are 2 different things. So you can see me here just hydrating. One of my neighbors, Dawn, told me that she really likes BioSteel, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I really like this. This one is a peach mango. And then here my husband is looking for the little bird that fell off again, off to my bird watering, whatever you call that. I'm lost for words right now. But he's looking for the bird, and then I really need to give these a good clean. So I do clean these at least once a week, but this is, we do have the lake behind us, but the birds really need some source of water for them to hydrate on as well. So we found the bird, so we're going to take it in and give it a good clean. And then he's blowing off everything that's on our pavers right there. I know the crepe myrtles, when it becomes really windy, sometimes it may look like you've got little lilac snowflakes all over the grass. So this is another David Austin rose. And then you can see us cleaning it here. So I'm just giving it a good cleaning. I'm just using Dawn, cleaning the bird at first. You can use some Clorox as well. Just kind of water the Clorox down and make sure you get all these chemicals off too, because you don't want your birds drinking any kind of Clorox or even Dawn. I don't think that would be good for them. So just make sure you give it a good rinse. Using hot water. So I'm going to dry it off really well, and then my husband Paul said that he would actually super glue it there for me and put that little bird back on. We've done this a couple of times, at least 2 or 3 times. And I guess because it sits in water and it's in the heat, that it comes off kind of easy. He's using Gorilla Glue right here. So we actually put it on the bowl and put it on the bird as well. And then I let it dry before I put it back out, of course, before I filled it back up with water. I don't care. I think it's really nice too to get like a little solar little sprinkler to put in these as well. I think the birds like that active water constantly, and then it doesn't get as dirty as easily either. And then here are my hanging baskets that I had a really good video on the very beginning of the season. I think I had that come out in April or the first part of May. So it is July, and these petunias do really benefit well from a good pruning. So you can see me pruning them all the way back, and then I'm going to give them some fertilizer, water-soluble fertilizer as well. And I shared that with you last week. I used the Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer because they do really well with the Proven Winners petunias. You all know that that's my favorite brand. I love it, but I do love the performance. So it's not, I don't get sponsored by Proven Winners. Wished I did. If you're listening to me, Proven Winners, you can always send me some plants and I'll show them off in my garden as well. But anyways, just pruning them back, and then within a couple of weeks, they'll really benefit and will give you some new blooms. So I'll throw up that water-soluble fertilizer that I use. Just throwing all these clippings into this pop-up bag. This is like I think a 30-gallon container, so it holds quite a bit. And I love how it collapses as well. So like I said, I do still have to add extra water to these almost every single day, or at least every other day. Once you see them drooping, you're going to know that they need some extra water. And then I always have this on auto ship. I get it once a month. This is the Bio Advanced Rose and Flower Care 3-in-1. So it fertilizes and then it helps prevent disease too. And this, I'm just showing you what the granules look like. So there's nothing special to this. I just fill a capful, one capful, and then I throw it on each rose. I have 5 roses in here. So you can probably see me throwing at least 5 capsules in there. And then I'm just pruning them back. So I try to deadhead at least once a week. Try to stay up on it so I'm not overwhelmed. And then, of course, I have to use my liquid fence deer and rabbit. This keeps the deer and rabbits away. Of course, I don't have to battle rabbits, but I do have to battle deer. So I like to go on and off with the liquid fence, and then I must garden. And then sometimes I throw some a little more Milorganite down as well because deer don't like that. So I'm just trying anything and everything to keep these deer away from my garden. The liquid fence does work, but you have to spray it, I feel like, almost every single night. And then when it rains, you just have to reapply. They seem not to like anything that moves as well, so I bought some spinny things. Maybe they'll keep them away from the garden once they hit that spinny metal part. Maybe they'll want to move on, be scared. I heard that the sprinklers really work really well, but I find it really hard to run a hose all the way down to the very end of my garden for that. So this is another rose that I have. I have 4 different types of roses. This one is Boscabelle, and I do believe that this is my most favorite so far. I do get a lot of reblooming throughout the year, so really happy about that, and I love the different peaks and corals on this rose. So again, just putting that Bio Advanced fertilizer on there. I have 2 of those that I have on auto ship that I get each month. So, and I do use them every single month. And then I'm just spraying the liquid fence deer repellent on these roses. They really like the new, fresh, red growth on those. And then it's time to feed my birds. So I use this blend for the cardinals and this for the other ones. Of course, the squirrels love this blend as well. But I only have about 4 or 5 squirrels, so I don't really seem to mind those right now. But I do love my birds in the garden. I love watching my birds every single morning. So I have an open feeder for some of the bigger birds like the cardinals and the blue jays that come to the garden. And at the very end of the video, I am sharing with you, I just sat on the grass and just videoed and just watched different types of birds that I have in my garden. So I really wanted to share that with you guys. The cardinals really like to perch on this feeder as well. So I have 4 feeders on this. I don't know what you call that. I don't know, bird feeder holder. It's really, really sturdy, so I really like this system that I have. And I have 2 big cylinders, and I believe they have at least 6 different options that birds can perch on. This is the eastern bluebird that you see right there, and you can also see a golden finch in the open feeder right there, and then just several different finches. I'm not really sure what this bird is. I don't know if that's a mockingbird. I can't tell until it flies away. Mockingbirds have the white on their back wings, and then you could see I have several different woodpeckers in the garden as well. I think I have at least 3 or 4 different varieties. Just showing you my wind chimes here. You might be able to hear the sound. And then I thought this little bird was kind of cute. Oh, I cannot think of the name of it right now. What is wrong with me? I've just lost my words. Dove. It's a dove. And you can see how gorgeous these yellow super bells are with the, I think this is called fruit punch, black currant fruit punch, I believe. I think I was trying to show you one of the bees that were in there. This is the eastern bluebird again. And then a lady female cardinal. Just love seeing cardinals in the garden. And then another different type of woodpecker. I think this one's a downy, I believe. Golden finches. And then lots of different other finches as well. And then you can see the squirrel. I think he sees me. Of course, you know, Sasha runs after the squirrels all the time. He's like, what's she gonna do? Didn't stop him though, did it? And then here you can kind of see the rain starting to come in. Wind blowing pretty heavy here. We really do need some rain. And then of course, here comes the rain. Sometimes we're in our own little climate and the rain will just go all the way around us. It's crazy, but finally getting some nice, good rain today. So I hope this video was helpful and inspiring. Again, we just got some much needed rain today, and you can see that I did water my trees this morning, but the deep watering at least 2 or 3 times a week on those new crepe myrtles are very, very helpful. The rain that we got today is not going to be a deep soak. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye friends.